Episode 3. So today I'm going to be doing a little bit of exploration at the start of this video, but I'm mostly going to be focusing on taming new creatures, primarily creatures that I have never tamed before. Either they were introduced recently and I've just not seen them yet, or they were introduced in this map. So first things first, I take my Stackable out. It is my favorite traversal mount, you know, that one that doesn't fly, because it can climb straight up mountains, so it makes going over the vertical terrain a breeze. Now, something that I've noticed on this map is that the higher in elevation you go, you're more likely to find caves, and that's what I'm looking for because I need to find out if this map has dung beetles. At this point in the video, I don't know if there are dung beetles or not, but I happen to have a cave right here. I look and I do see a megalania, so that means cave spawns have to be here. And sure enough, just past the megalania, I do find my first dung beetle. It's actually a really pretty golden one, so I hop on the Stackable real quick, I get him to defecate, and I feed it to the dung beetle. Now the problem is gonna be getting him home because, well, I have my little drakeling with me, but that's no problem. I can just have him follow me and he'll fly behind me. I can pick up the dung beetle, but the thing is, I didn't go straight up the mountain. There is a little bit of a distance, so what I did is I threw it down the cliff about halfway until I was close enough where I used the Stackable. I went back home and got my snow owl to go and pick up the dung beetle and bring him back home. But now that I have one, it's going to be so much easier to maintain my farm, because not only will it automatically pick up the poop that my creatures spawn out, but I can also use it to make fertilizer. I do think I still have to get him to wander, but it's not going to be that big of a deal because he'll be picking up so much of it that he won't be able to move because he'll just be encumbered the entire time. But now that I have an excess of fertilizer, I can maintain my farm a little bit easier because it was getting to the point where I was losing a lot of my crops just because I couldn't keep up with it. Anyway, now that I've got that going, I head back out and I find this bridge that leads out into the city. Though I'm not going to go back into the city just yet, I'm going to head the other direction because there's still an entire valley that I have yet to see. I did check out those watchtowers that shine the red lights down. It doesn't seem like there's really any much to them because there's no NPCs or anything to trigger on top of them, so they're there for purely decoration. There's also this crushed planet or moon. I'm not actually sure what it is, but it looks really cool. And then as I'm traveling, suddenly the screen turns black. I have no idea why until a mega raptor comes out of nowhere and starts harassing me. Luckily, a couple of bites took it out, but that actually scared me. I had no idea that they did that. The Mega Raptor is still relatively new to Ark, and I have not seen one in the wild just yet. I did see one earlier in the previous episode, but it killed me before I really got to, experience it, so I didn't get that dark screen like you had just seen. Now then, I find another cave, and right here is a campfire, it looks like, though there's no NPCs or no actual camps around. I tried to get close to see if it would warm up my character, but it doesn't look like it does. Regardless, I head back onto the Stackable, and I continue into the cave. Now, I could just head straight across and back out the other side, or I saw that you could head down into a darker area. There are tons of ruins around, but there's not really much inside of them. The entire cave is filled with regular cave spawns. So you have the Arthropleura, you do have these freaking ant spawns, you have the nocturnal little T-Rex dudes, the mega something, I don't know how to pronounce their names. There's also direwolves. Now that direwolf is not part of the base game, that is a modded creature. Now the mod that I have active right now is the Appalachian Denizens. However, at this point in time, the mod has not been updated to account for Lost Colony, so not all, but most of the creatures are T-posed for whatever reason. So yeah, that eventually will get fixed, but in this video, if you do see those modded creatures, they are T-posed. Anyway, I go deeper into the cave. I find a cool couple of areas, like this crystal cavern right here, some lava areas. I do get lost for quite a while. It takes me about 20 minutes to find my way back out, but eventually I do make it back out, and I head over to one of the ruins outside where I come across my first gloon, and these things are a pain in the ass. Luckily, really there's just one right now, but basically they can mind control you or confuse you or something, or your creatures as well, and it makes it so you lose control. And, you know, if you're out in the middle of the corrupted areas, which I'm just kind of on the outskirts of right now, that can be a death sentence depending on how many zombies are nearby. Again, luckily I only just found one, I'm on the outskirts, so it wasn't that bad. I did try to tame it, however, I forgot that I had normal arrows and not trank arrows, so I ended up killing it by accident. Now, I did find a couple of Desmodas during these travels, but I didn't tame them, so what I do now is I head back home and I make a blood syringe in order to get some blood packs. Once you get one Desmodas, blood packs are going to be very easy to come by, but until then, I drain myself for a couple of minutes and get about maybe 6 packs. I actually don't remember how many I got. And then I went out to try to find an otter in order to help with the freezing debuff, because even with fur armor, you know, I still freeze to death. Anyway, the only otter I was able to find in the area, unfortunately, was under the mesh. So, yeah, I was not able to get an otter. I do eventually find my Desmodus, and I tame him up. However, don't get used to having him around because he does not last long. As I, you know, do that little taming thing there, I get my book for taming him for the first time, and I hop onto my owl to lead him back home. Here's the problem. I did not realize that there was a no-fly law over the city. So, as I'm crossing over the city, just head straight to my base, suddenly my owl stops flying and I go into a free fall into the upper city. Well, upper city, and then I kind of fall down into the lower city there. And the Desmodus also is grounded and he falls just behind me. Now, he's still up in the upper city right now. Luckily, he can still walk and kind of follow me, as you see him kind of like trying to follow me there. I don't end up getting him right then. I'm still trying to figure out how to get back up to get him, and for whatever reason, I gain aggro to the guards. Even though I did not have the debuff at the moment, they looked at me, they didn't like me, and suddenly I got a debuff, and they came over and killed me. So yeah, that was not too fun. I do end up coming back, getting my stuff, and finding my guys and trying to lead them back out of the city, but that was the problem, was leading them out, because now I have to deal with all of the guards, including this one on a T-Rex. Now, for right now, it's just one guy on a T-Rex, so it should be okay. I have them all go after the T-Rex as I'm shooting them, but unfortunately the Desmodus wasn't trained enough yet, and he does die to the T-Rex. Then a couple of these guys come along, and they completely destroy me and my owl. So, yeah, I was not having the best of days. I do get my stuff back by riding a ground mount that could actually escape, other than the owl, and then after I recover my stuff, I head back out onto one of the bridges leading outside of the city to tame up another owl. It took a few minutes to actually get him torpor down, but of course he started flying away from the bridge, and by the time he does go down, he fell off near a cliffside. So luckily I had the Diacoleo, I could just jump down and climb up to the cliff where he was, and I tamed him up and I put the old saddle of the other snow owl on him. Now I headed back to that same cave I was, where I found another Desmodus. Luckily I still have some blood packs left over, and I do end up taming him. However, what I did not notice was that there was an Ocelot there, one of the brand new creatures. And yeah, the Ocelot completely steamrolled me and killed my second Desmodus. Now, this guy does go down. It turns out they don't have a lot of health. I figured that these guys were going to be like super apex predators, but really, they are strong, but they don't have a lot of health. Now then, I was starting to freeze, so I put down a couple of campfires as well as a bedroll just in case I perish and I'm a little bit too far away from home. My snow owl and I wait until I recover, and then I head back out to look for a third Desmodus within the cave system that I'm nearby. Finally, though, I do get my third Desmodus, and this time I brought a saddle so I could take him straight home without him having to follow me. And this is when I'm noticing how much faster and agile the Desmodus is versus the snow owl. So definitely this is now going to be my mount of choice when I'm going out and either exploring or taming up new creatures. And you're going to be seeing him pretty much for the rest of the episode. This is when I'm leading them back home, and this time I do go around the city. I go under that bridge there. Now then, I take him out for a spin, I take out a couple of Dinotheriums as well as some larger creatures to get some blood packs as well as level him up. Now, blood packs, these guys can gather just by biting or harvesting, and when you have 200 of them, you can make sanguine elixir, which pretty much speeds up the taming of any regular meat-eating creature. But what it doesn't do is the Ozodon or anything that requires a special tame like the Megaraptor, which I find out later on. Now, speaking of Ozodons, this is the first one that I attempted to tame. Now, they are quite annoying to tame, so it's going to take me several attempts, and this one will not be successful. I'm going to give you that little spoiler right there. But to tame them, this is what you have to do. First of all, you have to get them halfway torpored. So once you get them halfway torpored, you jump on top of their back. He then rolls out his little mud thing, and you have to roll over the spikes that he spits out. It will tell you how many you need to roll, whether it's 8 or 16, or depending on what level they are. Once you roll over the correct amount of spikes, as well as smaller creatures, you can then feed them. Depending on how many creatures you have in the ball and what meat you feed them, they get a different amount of taming points. Now, that one was not successful. The bat ended up lowering its health a lot, and it ended up dying halfway through the tame. But as I'm looking for other Ozodons to tame, check out this Chinese dragon thing. So I don't know how to pronounce it. I think it's like an Ulrix or something, or I don't know. But it's actually really cool. That was the first one that I had spotted in the wild. I'm not quite ready to take him on just yet, so I bypass him, where I find a Veilwind. Now, this is the first Veilwind that I've tamed normally. The one that I tamed on the Ragnarok map, I actually just killed the adult and took the baby. So this is really easy to tame. All you have to do is sneak up on them and click on them, but you cannot be seen. If you are seen, then you pretty much lose out on your chance to tame him, and you will have to come back later. With my new bat, I was able to pick him up and take him home easily. Then I headed back out to find out what else I can tame. Nearby, I find a Megaraptor. Now, Megaraptors also have a special tame, which is not normal like other predators. Wherever the Megaraptor spawns, there will be a kind of like an altar or a pillar that's a spiral that has a little bit of a pile of bones beneath it. They are extremely hard to find if you are in a forested area, especially here where there's a lot of dead trees. So it took me about 20 minutes really to find it, but I do end up finding it. Now for this, you do want a torch. You want at least 1 or 2 or a really good quality torch. Once you have it out, click on the pillar and then it will initiate the tame. What it does is it basically turns the screen dark and you can only turn in a 180 degrees. The Megaraptor will vanish and stalk you. You have to wait and listen until it makes a sound, and then it will spawn pretty much the farthest from where you are looking. So right there was my first attempt, and I didn't quite get it, and it ended up failing, but also I could not initiate it again because the Megaraptor ended up falling beneath the mesh from the mechanics. So yeah, I'm gonna have to go look for another Megaraptor. Now, while you watch the footage of me looking for my second and then eventually third Megaraptor, let me point out here. So you see the second Megaraptor that I find that he's kind of on a cliff there? Yeah, you do not want to try to tame those because if they kind of go down the cliffside while they are in their invisible phase, stalking you, they will get too far away from the altar and it will automatically fail the trial. So yeah, you don't want to do that. You want to find somewhere that's open for them. It will make it much easier for you because then they won't be interrupted by getting too far away from the altar. Also, you want to have your tames on passive and far away. Now, this is the third raptor right here. I do find a nice open area. There are no other creatures around, and I finally figure out the trick. I look completely to either the left or the right. I wait until I hear the sound, and I quickly turn around and whack him in the face. So I do get his torpidity all the way to 100 and begin the taming process. I do try to use the sanguine elixir on him, but it does not work. It really only works on regular predator creatures, and because this one's not a regular tame, it does not work on him. But luckily I do have some regular meat, and I think I had some prime meat on me or something, so he does tame up in a few minutes. this is the first Megaraptor I've ever tamed, so I do get the book page for him, and I lead him back home. Now, he is in the ravine, kind of the same ravine that I took to get to where I'm living in the first place from the first episode, so it was time to take that traversal once again. I hop onto the Desmodus, and I fly down the cliffside. Luckily, the Megaraptor will not take any damage because I'm not on him, and I don't know why creatures that are not, ridden don't take any falling damage, but it'll work for me, so I lead him back down into the ravine, where then I lead him through it. Now, at this point in time, as you saw during the taming process, there's a snowstorm going on. That actually led to some really great atmosphere when I was taming the raptor, but what else makes it really cool is this over here. So as I'm traveling through the ravine, I get attacked by a couple of creatures, like a Uranus and so on, but I also get attacked by the Jet Dragon. Again, I don't really know what they're called. Well, I know what they're called, I just cannot pronounce it. Anyway, check this out. See how he goes up and you basically lose sight of him, and he flings out of nowhere and attacks you during the snowstorm? I don't know why, I just think that's really freaking cool looking. But after a few minutes, he does go down. I just kind of wait till he jumps on top of me and I poke him with my spear. My bat flies over him and gives him a couple of bites as well. The Megaraptor was kind of useless during this fight because he was a little bit too slow, but I don't blame him. This thing is a pain in the ass. So it took a couple of minutes, but he does eventually go down, and we continue our journey through the ravine and make it back home. Now, the second mod that I have active is the one to find creatures on the map, and I use that to find a soul wind, because that's going to be the next creature I want to go for. In order to get a soul wind, you first need a veil wind. Now, because I got a veil wind earlier in the episode, it was now time for the soul wind, and luckily this one was right next to my base. It was right up on the cliff. Now, I was just going to examine it at first. I wasn't looking to tame it at that moment, but I did not realize how aggressive they actually were without the veil wind. In order for them to not attack you, you do need a veil wind on companion mode, and then the soul wind will approach you non-aggressively and be curious. While it is in a curious state, it will want you to do something in order to get an item from it. However, it saw my bat and it got angry, so I had to pick up the bat and fly him far away. Though first I had to pick up the veil wind because then he started attacking the veil wind. So once I got him out of the way and he disengaged, I put the bat a little bit farther out and I walked the rest of the way with the veil wind. Now, the first time I tried to get the item from the soul wind, it did not work for whatever reason, so you'll see me go back to it later. I kind of cut that footage out because I didn't want you watching all of that when it led nowhere to begin with, but I do try again later on. Anyway, this Oceodon here is going to be my next attempt. I do get it to the moment where I can ride it. I run over a couple of these smaller creatures like horses and deers, and it took a couple of attempts, but after a few rides, I do eventually tame the Oceodon. So this was the first one. Now, really, it wasn't that bad to tame. I would say the hardest thing is managing its health pool because I don't have guns. This is a primitive playthrough, so I'm not using guns or tranq darts or anything like that. So using my arrows does deal a lot more damage to it, so I had to basically play a management game of trying to keep it alive while getting its torpor low enough that I could ride it again. Once I do eventually tame it, I head back home, and I want to make the saddle. Luckily, the saddle is smithy made and not fabricator made, so I head up onto the mountain next to my base and gather some metal because I am absolutely low on metal, and this thing required like 150 ingots or something. So I did that, and while it was cooking, I went and I checked on my farm real quick. After looking at my crops and checking out my dung beetle and seeing how much poop and fertilizer it has, like holy crap, I'm set for days. Anyway, I checked out the crops and I saw that they were finally growing, plenty of them, and I made myself a cooking pot to finally start, making stuff out of it. Though, this is when I come to realize that I don't know if I'm going to be able to make veggie cakes because, while I did see there are giant bees on this map, I don't think there are any, giant trees in order to get tree sap from. So, because I don't know if I can get tree sap, I don't know if I'll be able to make veggie cakes. But, I might have to just deal with it, and I'll just create the other foods that I would be able to make. And the first thing that I focus on are making the potions in order to get myself some health when I am low, which only requires really Tinto berries. And with how much berries that the Elder Claw can harvest, it's not going to be that big of an issue for me. Alright, so I'll be honest, I actually edited out or lost or something the footage of me interacting with the Soulwind and getting the Volpite. Basically, it makes you do like a Simon Says kind of game game where it wants you to do a specific emote, and you have to do the emote with the Veilwind in order to raise up its curiosity to 100%, and then you get this Volpite. Now, the Volpite, you give it to the Veilwind to eat. However, he will not eat it unless his adventure status is 100%. In order to get that, you have to take him out with you while under companion mode and get some experience. Now, this is where I thought I was going to take the Oceodon out for a test ride. I finally make it its saddle, but then I realized how freaking slow it is. Like, oh my god, I cannot go anywhere with this. So I ran it out for a few minutes and I just practice with its abilities a little bit, but I took it back home and I got my Desmodus in order to pick up the Veilwind and fly quickly out to the tundra area, because I know that there are a lot of larger creatures such as Brontosauruses out there, as well as other Oceodons, like this one here that I kill for a lot of experience that the Veilwind absorbs. Then I notice, oh my god, there is a baby Oceodon, so now I can go get a second one for free. I did not know that Oceodons could have babies, and now I feel like I had wasted hours of my time trying to tame my first one when I could have just gotten one the easy way. I harvest meat from the adult Oceodon real quick in order to feed the baby. Now, I don't want it following me while I am training up the Veilwind, so I leave it where it is and I just make sure it's got enough food, and I head back out to continue training the Veilwind. It's still at this point I think 60%, so I have a little bit more to go. Eventually I do get it to 100%, so he's ready to eat the Volpite, but I don't want to have him do it while he's out here because I won't be able to carry him back home, I think. Oh, I also caught one of these Chalotheriums. That's another baby one because I killed the adult while training the Veilwind. Anyway, so I take the Veilwind back home and I have him wait there because now I need to go back and get the Oceodon and the Chalotherium, I don't know how to pronounce it, back home. So I hop onto the Oceodon. Now this is the saddle from the other one. I just took it off him and put it on this one. And I have the other two, such as the Desmodus and the Chalotherium, follow me back home. I have usually, when I have a party of creatures like this, I have them follow the slowest one. That way I know everyone is right behind me. If I am on a fast creature, that means every 2 steps I take, I need to stop and wait for the slow one to catch up. Now, the tricky part was heading back home in this area because on both sides of this river are corrupted zones, and if a horde of zombies spawn on top of me, they're pretty much going to kill all of my creatures. So I took a chance and I went through the river because there's no corruption in the water itself. I only had to pray that nothing in the corrupted zones would spot me and run toward me. Luckily, there was nothing at the moment, so I do manage to bypass it and get back to my base. And this is going to be the last part of the video, but now it was time to evolve the Veilwind. So now that its companionship is 100%, he's got the Volpite, I go ahead and I evolve him into the Soulwind. Now, the Soulwind is one of 2 evolutions that the Veilwind can turn into. There's this one, which is the light version, and then there's the Malwind, which is the dark version. So I still have not figured out how to get the currency of this map yet. You're supposed to do like missions and, find like defense towers and stuff like that. I have not found a single one as of right yet, so I'm still looking around for those, but it's fine because I've been spending this time taming up new creatures, and this Soulwind is freaking fun. Now, I don't think it's going to become my main mount, but having it drift on the snow, it can climb the rocks like a Thylacoleo, though I don't think it's as good, and it can also do a couple of spellcast abilities, including an Ice Bridge. Now, this is something I'm familiar with from Conan Exiles, but I think this game pulled it off a lot better. You can do it in quick succession too, so you could basically climb like I am right here up into the middle of the air. You can also use it to break falls, climb up bigger gaps. It's incredibly responsive to your input, which I found great. Anyway, that's going to be the end of this video. If you enjoyed what you watched in this primitive playthrough of the Lost Colony map, please make sure you stick around, subscribe, and like this video, and I will see you in the next one.